Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the
EFFing
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go.
Just Eff It. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday morning.
Yes. What is it?
Motivation Monday.
Or...
I think it's perfect. It's Motivational Monday. It is Monday. I was listening to a few of our
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Yeah.
I was listening to some of our recent podcasts, and I had put a story up on our Instagram because Carla, I was listening and I'm like, I'm really proud of these stories. Like,
yes, I commented on that too.
Yeah, I'm just really proud, and I encourage everybody, by the way, happy Monday for those tuning in, to really take a listen to some of our previous ones as we're building more interviews. Go subscribe, go to our website, go watch on YouTube or listen, because they're really powerful. Like, I was at the gym listening to one of our last interviews, and I was like, oh, I really love this. I'm really proud of these stories.
I know, they're great. I listened to it in my car on high speed.
Yeah,
so really fast, but
good call.
I love listening. Yeah, I love listening to it. It's so awesome. They really are super motivational, super inspirational. These women are badasses.
They're such badasses. For anyone tuning in, Carla, who hasn't listened to us, do you want to let them know what they're getting?
Yes. So if you are new to this podcast, the Eff It Madres podcast, it is a community of madres supporting madres through their Eff It moment. So you could either have had it, be in the midst of it, or wanting it. But basically it's moms supporting moms through this, because it is sometimes a very hard step to take. But if we hear these stories from other women who have done it or are in the midst of it, we hope that will motivate that mom out there that's like, you know what, she's just like me and she did it and I can do it too. So that's our goal. Building a community of supporting moms. 100%.
And I mean, it feels awesome to hear stories, even if they're not your story. There's something about them that just like inspires some part of your story, or could be your story.
It keeps us going, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
Hearing that just keeps us going.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I was like on the stairs, like I said, I was listening to Gloria's and I was like, she's such a badass, like she's so strong. And then I was like, God, I couldn't imagine going through that, and and even my friend who I had shared, who posted that she was at the gym listening to it as well, she is not even a mom. And she was like, I'm so loving these stories. Like, they're just inspiring. So that felt really good.
That's awesome.
Today, we actually will be interviewing a madre that reached out to us on Instagram and was like, I like your stories. I like what you guys are doing. I have a story. And she started to like share her story. And as soon as she started to share, I was like, we got to have you on. Like, you got to share this with us. So I love that she reached out. Please reach out to us on Instagram at the EFFing Madres and let us know your story, because we want to hear them. And it's so exciting to meet people that we don't know and engage in, like, get to know people that are other moms out there in the computer, in the inner world, come together. Yeah. So I'm excited. I don't know her. I've reached out to her. We've had a few conversations through Instagram, and so many of us moms can relate to the fact that we watch other moms on social media and we start to feel like we know their family or know them, or we like follow them, or you start to create friendships of support. I have made so many mama friends through social media, which is one of the reasons I am grateful for it, just giving some sort of community when you need it. Because I remember those first months being home and just being like, where are the mamas? So reach out to us. Let us know. So I'm excited. Her name is Caitlin, and I'm going to get to hear her story. All right, guys, I would like to welcome our guest of the day, and we have Caitlin Crabtree with us. I did it right?
Hey,
guys. Welcome. Happy Monday. We are excited to have you on. And I was just kind of letting everyone tuning in know that you had reached out through social media. We follow each other. You kind of saw what we were doing, and you were sharing a little bit of your story. And we're really grateful that you were open and like brought that to us. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Glad to be around. I've watched you guys kind of grow up a little bit, so it's kind of funny to hear
that. And so how have you seen Carla and I, what made you reach out? What was that?
Well, I mean, I've followed all the stories whenever you were on TV, obviously. And then whenever you moved to Austin, I kind of reached out because we have kids the same age and stuff like that. So I've kind of just followed your whole story this whole time. So it's kind of been really
Yay.
cool to see like the whole growth the whole time.
I love
It's really
that. I
nice.
really love that. And I think that's so great that like now, as moms and being here, that you get to be a part of this with us. So thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy how it all happens.
Well, we're going to get into some of our questions with you. And Carla, do you want to get started?
Yes. So the first question for you, Caitlin, is when did you decide to F it and why?
So, long story short, I ended up having my daughter out of a pretty bad situation. I got really, really sick when I had her. I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks after I had her because I had a terminal bacteria in my lungs that was
Oh my
literally
God.
killing me for like 4 months while I was pregnant. And so, like, through that, after I had her, I was in the hospital. And then once I got out, I was kind of like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Like, I can't, like, I was just like, my whole life kind of stopped. Like, I couldn't work, like, couldn't do anything for like all that time. And I was so sick for so long. And so I was like, okay, like, I need to figure something out to get back on my feet. And I was like, well, the US is like insanely expensive in general. And so I was like, you know what? Look, I've always wanted to leave. I'm just gonna leave. I was like, just literally fuck it. I'm just gonna leave. I was in Midland with my mom. I was living with my mom at the time because I literally couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. And so I was staying with my mom. I got out of the hospital, got treated. I was on IV antibiotics for, I want to say 2 months maybe. And then by the time she was 6 months or 7 months is when we left. And I was just like, look, I'm going to go. And so I planned for like 2 months. I sold everything I owned. And I was just like, look, we're going to go. And so I planned, I was going to go to Peru for a month, then Ecuador for a month, Costa Rica for a month, and Colombia for a month. And then I was just going to figure it out from there. And so like I figured, and it's so cheap there that I could work from here. And I mean, you could live off of like $800 a month, like a queen there.
And with your baby, you were going to go?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it's just been me and her since birth, like since conception. So I don't have any ties anywhere there. And so it's just like, look, I have the freedom, I have the ability. I'm in a crappy position anyways. I have nothing holding me here. Right. And so like I'm finally healthy. So I was literally just like, fuck it. Look, I'm going to buy the tickets and we're just going to go. And everybody cried. God. And they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, well, we'll figure it out. And so we did. And so we literally just got on a plane and went to Peru, stayed in Peru for a month. It was freaking amazing. Like, it was amazing, like, insane.
My mouth is dropped right now because I'm just like,
I know.
Like, I'm just like, you what? Like, you just go from being terminally like ill, which first of all, the bacteria story alone is like
I have
a
some
whole
questions
story in
about
its
that,
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. Bacteria, was that something that like comes on by pregnancy or?
No, so I was born with a lung disease. So I have a lung disease in general. But so that just means I'm more susceptible to some things that normal people, it wouldn't phase. And so when I was in Hawaii when I had my daughter, when I got pregnant with my daughter, and I guess in Hawaii there was a bacteria in the dirt that usually doesn't phase people, but for some reason it was attacking me. But they couldn't treat me for it because I was pregnant, and it would have killed her. So it was either literally a me versus her situation. And obviously I was already like 6 months pregnant. I wasn't gonna like get rid of her after everything that I had already been through. So I was just like, we'll see what happens. So
I know both Romy and I are like,
I know. I'm just like, oh my, I just can't imagine as a mom, like having to like choose between, do I heal myself and treat myself? Does that harm my baby? Like being put in that situation to have to fight through something to keep, that alone, like what us moms go through, and those type of stories, when I hear this, Carla, I know we're both just like, oh my gosh, like, and this is like why we are super women, like
Superwoman for sure,
like for sure to be able, and then to like go through that and give birth all alone is hard, but to do that with a lung thing, like I can't. Yeah.
And to go somewhere that you don't know with no community whatsoever with a small baby. Like, what did you...
I speak enough Spanish to get around, but I don't even speak that much Spanish either.
Oh my
gosh. Wait, like this whole story is like fascinating. This is why I just am so appreciative of you, because I have so many questions right now.
Yeah. I told you I have quite a bit of stories. That's just one.
I know, but so like when you decided to just F it and bring your baby now, and you have her, and go to another place like we just said, like what did you do about this? What did you do? What were your actions in
So
this?
like quite literally, I just planned where I was going to go. I booked Airbnbs, bought the tickets, and left. Once I got there, it was kind of just like, I don't know. I mean, I hate the US. I've always kind of wanted to leave anyways. And so once I got there, I was like, look, I'm just gonna like make friends. I'm gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna ride it out. And so I did. I just like literally went. I lived with some people, another family that I have found on Airbnb. I lived with a family. They were great. They were absolutely amazing.
Oh,
It was just like this big community thing that you don't feel in the US, especially in Ecuador. Like in Ecuador, when I was in Ecuador, oh my that like the family friendliness like just surrounded the entire community. Like there was like so many things that would never happen here. Like I think it's like every other Saturday they would cancel all the roads from Old Town to New Town, which is like a good like 5-7 miles, just for families to bike, just for
I
families to
love
literally go
that.
bike
I
together.
know. It's so different in different places.
I know. It really is.
I'm gonna figure out where I want to live, what I want to do. I'm gonna live cheaply while I do it and just like rebuild myself basically because I was literally starting from nothing at that point because I
Right.
had literally got knocked down to almost dead. So
Where are you now, and how long have you been
I'm
there?
not there now. I'm back in Texas. So
Oh, you're back in Texas. Oh, okay.
this was when she was 6 months old, and then I came back after like 3 months, and then I've been back in the U.S.
So
unfortunately. So
you went and you were there for 3 months, just kind of living and doing this with your daughter, trying to figure out what your next move was.
yep. Yep. So even
God.
like getting from Peru to Ecuador was a 13-hour bus ride with a 4-hour flight. I did that with her.
Carla.
I can't even. I haven't even put Nav in the car for like longer than an hour, and I can't even imagine like everything that you've done. Oh my
I know,
god.
like the very first time Frankie and I would like drive, like I would plan everything around like her nap, and it
Yeah.
was like, we're gonna go an hour, we're gonna plan this around nap time. Like it was so
Yes.
like, and you're over here like, yeah, we're bus, planes, automobiles, traveling through the country, I'm alive.
So
Like,
you know what's
Yeah.
funny too is actually my daughter would get so car sick, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to go to South America too, because I couldn't drive with her. Like I literally couldn't even go to HEB. Like I could not drive to the grocery store because she would throw up and turn purple. So there, it was actually worked out very well because I could hold her the whole time.
so, and you just went into like these families' homes, like these Airbnbs, and they just brought you in, and you were just open to being with these strangers.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty much how it was. They were all like super hosts, like 50 plus reviews. I made sure that they were legit. But
yeah.
yeah, it was all families with little kids, and they had their side of the house. I had mine, and we coexisted. They were even like, "Do you want me to babysit?" It was literally like living with family, but not my family. Like,
Wow.
I mean,
Oh
that
my
culture
god.
is, as
it
we
was
both know, Carla, is
amazing.
like
You
family,
know, it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you made these decisions and you were trekking over there, like how did all this make you feel? What were you feeling with all these? What were the emotions running through your mind as you were like booking everything, being like, peace,
Oh,
see you guys
I
later?
was so happy. I was so happy. I was so relieved. And once I
Oh,
like in the planning process, I don't really get anxious about anything. Like I'm just kind of like a very fly by the seat of my pants kind of person in general, obviously. Um, but no, like it didn't really affect me until I like obviously all my family was like very upset and they're all crying and it's just like whatever, it's us, we're gonna do it, we're gonna see how it goes. So when I got there, I was very relieved because it was so much better than I even ever like expected, and I really did not want to come back at
were you
all.
scared at all?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, it was a new experience. I thrive in change. And so I
mm,
think like just the
that's
change of
good.
it all was so exciting that I didn't even like I mean, obviously there was like what if the people I'm living with are maniacs? Like there was that, and then there was like, okay, well, what happens if this happens, or what happens if that happens? Like there was little things. Like my phone got stolen in Ecuador, and like the third day there, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, great. But Okay.
No,
I'm
no,
just
everything about this makes me uncomfortable, which is just shows like where I'm at. Like I can't, like I don't even like staying with family when I have to. I am such a control freak, and like I'm my space and all that. Like it would be good for me to live like that. It's interesting to hear someone like you who's like so. It's just
yeah.
you're just like you said, like going with it. Where like I would be like everything had to be planned, and I need to know what's happening. I need like I just hearing it is like for me like oh my, like all the feelings come up.
Yeah.
It was just so slow paced though that it was like so cool. Like we had gardens, we grew our own food. Like it was just like a whole different life. Like it was nothing like here where you're like go 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 go. Like I was like, I did like work like 2 hours a day and then I had the whole rest of the day to go explore or go to the garden or go
I love that.
to like the whatever up the street. Like it was just so like so peaceful and so like I really got to like find myself there again after all of the trauma of the last 9 months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean from
And
going I think from almost losing your life and fighting for your life and then feeling so alive like that, it's almost like you need to have a rebirth like that.
mhm,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. To feel alive.
Yeah, and that sounds like the most alive feeling ever. And that goes into this question like what did doing this kind of huge move do for your family? What did it do for your child? Like what did it do for you guys doing this?
I think it really like opened me and her up a lot to like other lifestyles for sure. Like for sure. Like you don't know what's out there until you know what's out there. And so I
Yeah.
think going there and seeing how they live that really like made me really really want like a community here and to like
Mhm.
have those closer bonds here and to have like not even like family but like family like chosen family like
Mhm.
around to like help you in the daily life like they have there that we don't typically have or see here. So it really, I think it really, really, really impacted me in a very good way, and my daughter, both of us.
How did she I mean those are her first months like being alive.
Mhm.
That's what she was like
She was a
introduced to
baby.
as like
Yeah.
family. So, were you able to find that when you came back? What brought you back?
I came back here for a job, unfortunately. So we were supposed to
Mm.
go to when I was supposed to go to Costa Rica. Costa Rica got canceled because there was a big hurricane, like a big hurricane that just like knocked everything out. And it was I don't remember what year it was. I don't remember which hurricane it was. Well, it was 17. So whatever one it was in the end of 17. But it was a huge hurricane, and like Costa Rica didn't have power or anything until we. It was like 2 days before we were supposed to go, so I was like, okay, I guess we're not going there. And it was too late to kind of like plan somewhere else. So I was like, okay, let me just maybe I'll just go back to the U.S. for a little bit, end up coming back. But
Do you have any plans to go back?
2020, we were supposed to go do 6 months in Southeast Asia, and then we all know how
Wow.
2020 went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2020
you weren't
didn't go
going
plan for
anywhere.
anybody. Yeah, no. How
How old is your daughter now?
she's 5.
Okay, so you
She's
guys have been back
kindergarten.
here and like working and in Austin, but like that part of you obviously you wanted to do that again. I'm just curious about this. Like how do you go from that and then come back to something like this?
It is depressing.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
Yeah.
depressing.
I can only imagine.
I think Austin was the best place to do it too because well when I came back I wasn't living in Austin before. When we moved back, that's when I was like, okay, well I gotta where am I gonna live? And so like we literally came back. I think it was because I was gonna be kicked out of Ecuador because you only get 30 days before you have to have a visa. And the
oh,
Mhm.
hurricane happened like 2 or 3 days before my time was going to expire. And so I had
okay.
those 2 or 3 days to get out of the country and I didn't know where I was going to go. And so like I
Mm.
just had to book a flight back home. We didn't have anywhere to live. I'd sold all my stuff, so I didn't know where I was going to go. And so I was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to Austin. And then went to Austin, just got a place overnight, found an apartment. And
How?
it
How
was
did you get a place?
I had my mom co-sign for me, so because obviously I didn't have a written job in the U.S. that
Yeah.
made them the money that you need to get an apartment here. So my mom had a co-sign for me, so she came up there. I still had a little bit of stuff. I had a storage unit, so I had like clothes and all the necessities, but everything
Yeah.
else I bought off a marketplace like the next weekend, and then just kind of reaccustomed myself, built my business back up here to make money like I need to live here. And yeah, it was a lot. It was fun.
I will say there's something about trips that are unplanned. I'm a planner, don't get me wrong, but there was one trip that part of my trip was completely spontaneous. And I will say it so far has been the best trip I've ever been on. I thought I was going to die 2 times, but aside from that, it was amazing. So there really is
Yeah.
something to being like spontaneous and just going with the flow. I
Oh,
need to do
I admire it. Like it makes me like I've always been really like I mean I'm control freak and like now as a mom, I've always been very impulsive and done whatever I wanted. Like that is part of like who I am. I've had more fear I think as a mom, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like so much of me is
Oh
always
yeah.
just like if I want to do this, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do whatever I want. And then I became a mom and it was almost like oh my god, like I can't be like that. And I love that like you were just like it didn't even stop that part of you. You just went with it and took her with you on that journey. And like I mean, what a gift to give your daughter, you know?
Yeah.
Like what a gift and for you to see that type of I mean, that's what we're trying to do here is basically be a community for people, but like to truly have had that experience when you come back, I mean, have you been able to find that for you guys? I mean, is that something you guys have here?
Not to the level that I'd like it to be. Not at all. Not like it was there. I don't think I'll ever find that here, though. I've kind of come to terms with that. I have my people and I love my people, but it's not like cohabitating, like doing every kind of day things together and, like a phone call away kind of thing. But I think here people are just so naturally so distant. Like, even
Yes.
if you guys are really, really good friends, like, you're not going to call them at 4 a.m. and be like, hey, can you come watch my kid? Like, no, like, that's not.
Yeah, it isn't like that here for whatever reason, is it? So now that you're here and now you've had this travel bug in your life and you know what it's like, do you have fears being where you are like and for the future that you can't get out and do the things that you wanted to do?
Well, because of COVID, really, when COVID happened, all the traveling is so much different now. And then me with all my health issues with
Yeah.
COVID, like
Yeah.
Right.
that's a whole different
Oh my gosh, I didn't think of
thing.
that
Because
too. Yeah.
even if I were to
True.
go to another country and stay in another country, if I were to get COVID there, I wouldn't be able to fly back, and I wouldn't
No.
be able to
Right.
be treated there. So it's kind of like this huge.
You wouldn't?
I mean, I would be able to get treated there, but it depends on where I'm at. So South America, so like the lung condition that I have is mostly only on white people, and so there's
Oh.
the odds of
Oh.
there being a doctor that has any idea that even knows what it is, let alone how to
Oh,
treat
got
it.
it.
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
So
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, during COVID too, like that had to have been, I mean, this is a side thing, but thinking about that, I
Mhm.
mean, really terrifying. You come back, then this happens. You've got this lung disease that like almost killed you. And now you're being
Yeah.
placed again with the fear of that. I'm sure.
Oh, 100%. We stayed inside, I think, for literally like a whole year. We didn't do anything. I worked for myself, so she was never in school up until she started kindergarten this year. And so when that happened, well, that was a huge thing with the community too. Is I built my community up. We got
Yeah.
like great. We had all these things to do. We had all these people around us, and then COVID happened, and it was just like completely isolated. Like because no one wanted to see each other, no one wanted to visit, and especially in Austin. And like you know how Austin was. It's
Yeah.
probably all
Yeah.
like California actually, but like we were pretty locked down for a long time. And I mean, I still feel like some of my friends even today are skeptical to even hang out with people.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I think too, coming from such a open community
mhm,
working together like that and that being your kind of
mhm,
first experience thrown into like motherhood is like where it literally it takes a village, you know, you're living
yeah,
that it takes a village, you guys
yeah,
are doing that together and then you come back and then you're on lockdown.
yep, yeah, literally, it sucked. And that especially because I was supposed to be traveling that whole time too. So I was there like, okay, we're supposed to be living this great life, like redoing my whole like South America trip and Southeast Asia, like having that community again and getting that vibes again. But instead, we're stuck here, isolated in our apartment.
So do you think you'll get back out there? Do you think you'll revisit that journey for you guys?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Yeah, I mean, at some point, yeah. At some point, we just kind of like either got to accept the new reality and come to terms with it and then readjust. But like I said, I'm kind of good with change. This one's been a little weird, but No, yeah, I would like to. I would love to get back there to where I'm just traveling sporadically again.
How do you keep your mind in this, like, your fuck it moment is to spontaneously go? Like,
Hmm.
even though right now you have your restrictions, like, how
Hmm.
do you keep that in there to not fall back to just being, not fall back to, but falling into being like, well, I can't do it. So, oh
Yeah.
well.
Well, no, yeah. Well, I think like a my trust in people kind of heightened a lot, and my trust in the community, and so like I think even with moving and going around and being different places, I just kind of always lean back to like, hey, if I know it's out there, then I can find it anywhere. I just have to find the right people for it. So like I
Mm.
think that's been my main thing. And then like sporadic travels and road trips and that kind of thing have always kept me afloat during these times.
Yeah.
I mean that whole story of you just saying that, and I just like as I revisit that, like you almost losing your life, getting with her, traveling like that with her, going. I just want to revisit back to this because it is like it's just still in me. Like in that moment that you go, F it, we're going, we're doing this, we're buying something, you're living like on the edge like that, like, and you're saying that like there was no fear around it. You just like went for it, you did this, you got this community and everything like that. Like, was it really just like this is my life and I want to live it, like I'm alive? Like I just want to understand a little bit more about like for any mom that like has gone through like a health condition or something like that, or has, like
No, yeah. So I think a lot of it was really health wise. I think being down so hard with health and being knocked down to not being able to do anything for myself, basically like work, all the normal things that people kind of take for granted every day. I think just really getting that low and that like close to losing everything really
yeah,
just like kind of put it in perspective that like, hey, if I'm gonna live, I need to really live. Like I'm not
yeah,
gonna like survive. I want to live.
yes,
And that's kind of
yes.
what made it all happen. Um, I had previously done a big travel spree. Before, that's how I ended up with my daughter. So that wasn't my first one, but that was definitely a new experience with my daughter. So that's why when you were saying how your mindset changed after you had your daughter, I was like, but
Mhm.
that was me calm. That was me very calm compared to before I had my kid.
Because you were just
But
Wow.
traveling and just all over the place prior. That's kind of how she was, I'm assuming, made,
yeah,
right?
it was about 9 months, I believe, that I was just traveling straight. I think it was about 9 months that I was just traveling
Wow.
straight and got out of a bad relationship, made a tiny home, sold the tiny home, and used that money to go just travel. And then ended up in Hawaii and kind of ended up in a bad situation there, which ended up with my daughter.
Wow.
And then to like then get pregnant
It's been
and
a
then
crazy ride.
yeah, and then to
Yeah.
almost like lose your life through it. And then I
Hmm.
could imagine wanting to just feel really alive and wanting to kind of get that taste of life
Yeah.
back.
Freedom and life and just love and there's a lot.
And you've been raising her on your own?
Hmm. Yep,
It's just you
since
two.
day one.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, I've been in one relationship since her for about 2 years.
With getting pregnant through your travels, through you feeling alive, and then you ending up pregnant. Like, also, I imagine, and completely correct me, and also we don't have to go there, but that is a moment for mothers too to just go about that journey on your own, right? Like
Hmm.
to take on
So
that journey of motherhood by yourself.
yeah, so I was raped in Hawaii. That's how I ended up with her. So that adds a
Oh
whole another
God.
level. So it went from traveling to free to rape to almost dying to freedom again.
Oh my
It was
God.
a very very big roller coaster
Yeah.
of a year, 2 years.
Oh
Yeah.
my
But you
gosh.
kept going and you kept looking
Yeah.
for life and you kept finding life in that. And like, I'm just like, I'm emotional with this right now. I would like, I just like that you just kept wanting to feel alive and like took her on that, journey of life with you,
Hmm.
and then fought through your own personal actual life being taken with her. I mean,
Hmm.
I would imagine for your child how much she will feel how much you loved her and wanted her and fought for her.
Oh, 100%. Because if there was ever an opportunity to not have her, there was a bunch there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also teaching her to really live
yeah,
life and not
exactly.
just to
Yeah.
go through the motions.
Exactly.
Like that's not a lot. I feel like that's not a lot of what a lot of parents teach, because it's a lot
Yeah.
about security in so many families, and it's just like you're really teaching her to live her
Oh yeah.
life, and that's awesome. That's
I try
great.
to put a lot of emphasis on that too.
Yeah.
Well, I think when your life has been stolen in certain places, or like people have, like when it's being taken or you're fighting for it and you're fighting, like when you have that fight in you and that will, it's like there, you get that when you have that taste of life, and you get those bits of it. It's like, I assume, like almost like a drug that you
It's
need, to
addicting.
feel
Yeah.
alive like that. And you brought
Yeah.
her into that at such a young age that, like, I can imagine just you having that moment too of being like, F it, we're still going to be alive, we're still going to live, we're going to go on this journey together, and like just what that is going to do for
Mm-hmm.
her,
Oh
and
yeah.
what you've given her by doing that and showing her that.
Oh yeah. Well, I think going to South America too, that is what gave me that real taste of like this is how it should be. And that's what I'm saying. Like I've taken that and ran with that, even while not able to go back through all this COVID times, through like all of the changes and all of the moves and everything. I've kind of taken the piece that I got from there and taken it with me in different ways.
I mean, I think it's just getting like that sense of motherhood. I mean, it's so much about, Carla, like what we talk about too. We're like, there needs to be a community. And so much of this motherhood journey, we don't have each other. And it's like you said, in our culture and in this country, we are so separated and we are not there for one another in a way that
Mhm.
around the world they are. There is places where you need breast milk. I'm going to come feed your baby with my boob.
Yeah.
Like there are
Yeah.
places where
Literally.
you literally, you know what I mean? Like they're there, women doing it together, raising babies together, working as like a community. We're so closed off, I think, just being here. And Carla and
Hmm.
I had even said, like, when we had started this, we've talked about that, is that there just needs to be more of a village. And even if that looks like this, or it looks like you
Hmm.
sharing this story, which thank you, like someone is listening, someone is connecting, someone has been there, someone might be currently fighting for their life and they're pregnant, like we just we need to hear each other and talk to each other. And I think there has been such a separation in this country for being there for moms. I mean, but you should totally create something too. I mean, you seem like the perfect person to just find ways of bringing that to this community or to, you know what I mean? Like there's so much
Yeah.
that you learned and took that, like, bring that into, you know what I mean?
Pre-COVID, I'm the one who threw together that whole moms group thing and kind of pulled everything together, made different groups and stuff like that. But after COVID hit, it just kind of never took back off just because people, I don't know, are slowly coming back to normal at different times and different levels. So, but no, yeah, I would love to start something now. I've thought about podcasting, but I'm like, I don't know.
You should. You totally should. We'll send you the list of equipment.
Yeah.
There we go. Do it. Like, teach me
Yeah.
your ways.
I
Oh,
mean,
we don't know what we're doing. We're just doing it. We just show
Like,
up
it's
and press
doing
the
great.
button, and it's working so far.
And then we hit we
That's
hit
me.
stop, we watch upload, and we're like, I think we have a podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's me. I'm like, I barely know how to work my iPhone. I'm like, hey, is it working?
Oh,
Is it recording? I
you
don't
can share
know.
some stories.
Yes, a lot of stories. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if you've thought about doing it, and this is where we'd encourage you, if you've thought about it or you've wanted to, just fucking do it. Just
Just
fucking
do
do it.
it.
Just
Yep.
go for it.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
That'll be my
Yeah.
next fuck it moment.
Yeah.
yeah, it should be. And like, we want to encourage women too. Just say like, hey, I've thought about doing this. Guess what? Fucking do it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, and this was just something that just came to mind as we were talking about how here in the United States, like we don't have that sense of community, and like moms really, could it be,
Mhm.
and this is like just a question I was thinking about, could it be because of how much society puts pressure on women to be a certain way after they
Mhm.
have their child, that women almost feel like they don't want to be around other women because they themselves don't feel like they have it
Don't feel
together. And
normal.
if
Yep.
someone else has a little bit more together, then they don't even want to be like confronted with
Yep.
that. Could that be? You think maybe that could be a reason?
People don't feel comfortable enough to be who they actually are because they feel like that's not how they're supposed to be as a mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. Like this Instagram and like all of this
Yep.
stuff that like
Mm-hmm.
it really can make you feel like fucking shit, you
Yeah, and
know?
I
If
feel
you
like
if
people too, I feel like another big part is people feel like they have to do everything on their own. Like if they lean on somebody that they're failing or
That's
that
right.
they're not allowed to do like as ask for help because then they're
Yes.
yes.
Or that
not
Yes.
asking
able to
for
do it
help
on their
is
own.
weakness, which is not. It's
Yes.
actually very
It's
strong and
not.
brave. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that's such a valid point that like we really do need to, and I think that's what I would love to see more of, and have all of us be a part of as women, as
Mhm.
moms, as we are, is to rip down that like this image that we're putting up there. This isn't us helping one another. You know, it's
Mhm.
instead it's creating walls and boundaries and expectations that aren't real. Like
Yeah,
we need to
100%.
stop. Like we need to stop
Yeah.
with that. Like perfectly filtered photo of all of us
Yeah.
looking perfect and really say like, do you need help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I'm going through this. I want to have this. This is my story. This is my story. Like whatever that may be. And it would just, I would love to just like, my friend was laughing. She was like, I want to be a part of like the fuck it movement. But it's like, I'd love to just see more people being like, I just said fuck it and we are there for
Yeah.
a same thing with you where it's like fuck it, I'm going to be there for other moms. I'm going to like
Mhm.
create that community because
Yeah.
that's important. And
Mhm.
I feel like if people felt more open and welcome to ask for help, and we made that just part of our society, they would. But instead,
Oh
we're all
yeah.
trying to do it perfect by ourselves and then post our photo that we did it all perfect by ourselves. And inside, we're
Yeah.
just dying.
Some sort of
Yeah.
like ego thing too, where
It
it's like I did
is. It is.
it. I did it. And I'm like, yeah, but you could have done it 5 times easier if you just asked for help or accepted
Yeah.
help.
Yes.
Because half the time
Yeah.
people will ask you if you want help, but I think the ego makes you say, no, I got it. I got it.
Oh, of course. Of course.
But
Well, I mean,
just so
when
you
you went there and you had your baby, you just immediately, from your first experience of being a mother, let people come in and help you. That's beautiful.
I know it was so amazing. And then it was such a culture shock to move back. Like the culture shock wasn't moving there. The culture shock was 100% moving back. Because it was just like, whoa,
Mm.
whoa, what did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where is everyone? They've
yeah,
scattered like
Yeah.
termites.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people
Yeah.
are just so closed off to even the idea of community,
Well,
like
I think
support.
that's also like Latin culture too. I mean, which I grew up in, which was like with my family, so it's very different. Like my mother's white, my father was Mexican, but like
Mhm.
my dad's side of the family, culturally, like it's like everyone takes care of everybody. It's
Mhm.
just part of their culture. Like if one of my family members is sick or gone or had to go away for a little bit, must we say? Everybody takes care of like their child. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're like, Mika, come here. We're going to take care of you. Like, you're with us. We raise you. We put you through school. When mom, dad gets back from their vacation, like, you'll go back. Like, everybody takes care of everybody. And like, you'll go to a family event there, and it's like, everyone's been raising everyone's children.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful, just the kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
And
open door.
yeah, well, see, so I grew up the exact opposite. So, like, my
Yeah.
whole upbringing, it was literally just my mom, my stepdad, and our brothers and sisters. We moved to Texas by ourselves, and so it's literally just been us. Like, no cousins, no aunts, no uncles,
Mm.
no nephews, nothing. And but all of my friends, I've always been just I've always hung out with Hispanics. Like we lived on the border of Mexico, and so like all of their culture, like I've seen it my whole life, where they're just like
Yeah.
cousins and uncles and brothers, and wow, that's my cousin, but I don't really know how he's related to me, but he takes care of me. But like I love that, and I love it, and I knew
I
that
do
like, I've
too.
seen it. I'm like I know it exists, and so that I think that's
Yes.
why I chose South America in general. It's just because of the culture
Yeah,
is
it's
so
very
different.
family and
Yeah,
it's very oh, I mean, Carla, I don't know if you remember Frankie's first birthday on the beach.
Yep.
I invited my family, and when you invite my family, you're gonna get people you don't even know,
yeah,
like cousins you've never met, and they're there. Like the whole family's coming. Word gets out, and like there's this joke of like this huge concert looking thing like on a beach, and it's like, oh, I invited my cousin. I invited one, and like they all. It's like, oh, there's a party. It's family. You don't even know these
Right.
people. Like You don't even know them.
That's what I want. See, that's what I want. That's what I thrive to have.
Yeah, that's how it is. And so I was raised like you in the sense of it was just the immediate family. But when
Mhm.
I've gone back to Honduras, which is where I'm from, it's like
Oh,
I don't
nice.
I don't even have time to be by myself if I wanted to because a family member is like, "Oh, Carly, you have to come here. You have to come here. I want to throw you a party. Here's a barbecue. This and that." And it's just like, "Oh my god!"
Yes.
Like it's such an overload of family that it's
Yeah.
like I'm not used to it because that's just not how we are here. But
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Latin cultures, it very much is, and so many other cultures, it very much is. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that it's not really that strong here. It
Yeah.
seems.
But
Yeah.
you can tell that I think so many of us still want that. Even if
Yeah.
we are, I think after COVID and bringing that up, I think so many of us felt like, oh my gosh, like I have need for like
Yeah.
sisterhood, motherhood, community. Like it was just such a scary moment, and everyone was pulled back and then put into our homes with like the inability to be
Yeah.
with one another. And I do feel like we all, part of us, I think, wants more of
Mhm.
Yeah.
that.
No, yeah, I think everybody wants it, but people are so like afraid of the image and afraid of asking for help and afraid of accepting help. I think it all comes back
Well,
to that.
afraid of rejection too. I think people
Mhm.
are
Yes.
not willing to put themselves out there because they're afraid that someone's like, I don't want to hang out with you, or I don't want to,
Yes.
whatever. And I think that's also an
Yeah,
issue
I
that people
agree.
have. So
I agree
I think that's a
100%.
huge one. If you ask for help and they don't want to, and I mean, I will say this as a mother too, and I'm sure I'm not alone. But I struggled with asking for help meant I was a failure. You
Hmm.
know, I meant I was not strong enough, or I wasn't doing. I couldn't do it all, and it has taken me time to realize like I cannot do it all. I am not a failure. I have my moments. I need help, and like it took me some transition time for that. It was really hard for the type of personality that I have to realize there are people around me, my mother, her father, my dad. Like I wasn't just like me having to
Yeah.
do all this. And it took a minute to realize that and welcome that in, because I think I just felt like I was going to be a failure if I didn't do it all.
well, you have to change the narrative. I mean, that's I think
Yeah.
where like for me, I was similar to you, Romy, where it's very much like you do not ask for help. You do everything by yourself. If
Hmm.
anybody sees me ask for help, I'm weak. But
Yeah,
like we said earlier, to ask for help is actually incredibly brave. Like
Yeah.
it
you're
is.
showing people that you're being like, hey, this is me being vulnerable, which is actually very strong, and I need
Yeah,
someone's help. I need your help, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
it
See,
So
that
is.
was see, moving to Ecuador or South America in general was what taught me how to ask for help because I was the same way. Like as a child, it was pounded
Yeah,
into me that asking for help is a no. Like, do not do it.
yeah,
But even
Mhm.
even after I had my daughter, when I was in the hospital, literally on my deathbed, I would not accept help. I would not ask for help. Like every feeding, I had to do it. Every diaper change, I had to do it. I sat
yeah,
there and like did all the things all by myself because I would not ask for help and I would not accept help. But then I think moving to South America where it was like I don't know anybody here. I'm joining your culture. Let's see what you do. It
yeah,
just like totally opened me up. And so now like I'm very different than before. Like I
Yeah. It was for
have people.
survival. You had to
Yeah.
ask for help
yeah,
for survival.
Oh,
yeah.
literally. Literally.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if like every one of us just had like at least like even a month to be able to experience that type of like
Yeah.
culture or community as a mom? Like I just feel like it's like if
Yeah.
everybody could just have like a taste of like
I think it
that.
would change the world,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally think it would change the world. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the US. Because a lot of people it's already like that, but the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100. I think it would too. And like this would be one of my questions. And now to kind of like follow up with that, what would you really say to another mom
Mhm.
in your situation? And I mean this, you shared openly about,
Yeah,
your story, and I'm curious, like from the beat to that, to the beat to getting sick, and then the beat to just effing it, and like what would you want to share and tell a mom going through that? What
I
would be
mean,
your advice?
honestly, I just say follow your heart and do what you want to do, and don't be afraid of anything that's going to happen from it. Each decision you kind of got to make on your own, and either way it would have gone like would have been fine. I was like, I chose
Yeah.
my path because I chose my path, but that's not necessarily the right path or the wrong path. But
Yeah.
no, I think you just have to trust yourself and trust your gut and what you feel like you want to do it regardless of who says not to. And that's kind of what I had to do. Because a lot of people were telling me not to travel. A lot of people were telling me not to have her. There's a lot of every different sides of
Mm.
all of those different situations. And so it just kind of came down to trusting myself and believing that something good would come out of each different situation. And it did. Something amazing came out of every of the situations.
By you just like following your heart and just
Yeah,
fucking going for it every time.
100%. That's all you got to
I
do.
love that so much. Is there any place that you can think of that like a mom who kind of maybe wanted to go and do something like this that they could go and look up, or a website or anything like that that would help a mom?
I don't know, but I'm all down for the community. And if anybody wanted to message me and follow me and ask me, I am
I love that.
100% open to that.
What's your Instagram?
My profile is private, so you'd actually have to request, but I'm Caitlin and I like flowers. It was I'm gay and I like flowers, but then when I started working in a corporate world, I had to change it. So
Yes,
I like
yes.
flowers.
Oh my gosh. Well, I will put it up there. And I think that that is really cool and very important that you're saying if any moms have any questions about this, they've heard your story and they want advice on any way to do that, to that you are open to them reaching out and asking you. I think that's awesome.
100%. Anybody in any of the situations that we talked about, just reach.
Yes.
I would love that. I would love nothing more than
Yeah.
that. So
I love that. I love that. Okay, well then we're gonna finish this off by doing our fuck it. And so I'm gonna say just F it. Carla's gonna say just F it, and then you're gonna say just F it, and then at the end it'll all come together.